fake news awards.
The website, GOP.com, crashed when the president tweeted out that this was here.
It's simply brilliant. I've got to hand it to President Trump and to everyone who compiled this list.
President Trump sticking to his guns on immigration amid the threat of a government shutdown.
There's no doubt in my mind there's going to be a deal.
According to the Washington Post, the FBI shared information with the dossier creator.
This just underscores the FBI was politically motivated to damage Trump.
Bob earned his place in the Chronicle of American Legends by the time he was 21.
I'm extremely honored to accept this great honor.
Right. One of the good things about having Stuart Varney in early in the morning is he picks the opening music.
That's right. You know why we have him here?
Why?
It's a little different than what we normally do.
Why?
You can kiss the sky if you have a 401k.
Right.
Because the numbers are almost hitting the clouds, aren't they?
Yeah, we've got a big win for America from Apple, and we've got a big win for all Americans with the 401k, with the stock market hitting, as you see, 26,000 and staying there at the closing bell.
But it's not all about the stock market.
No, the really big win for America, we've got to announce it this morning, is from Apple. They're going to put $350 billion into the American economy in the next 5 years. They've got a lower tax rate. They're bringing back a ton of money from overseas.
Right.
And that's a big plus for America and for Apple's workers.
Sure.
Each of them gets $2,500 in a stock bonus.
What?
They're going to build a new campus. They're going to spend $10 billion in America on new data centers. And they're putting $38 billion into the United States Treasury. How's that for a win?
It's a great company to work for. My friends that have worked for the company say it's wonderful.
Well, they're going to add 20,000
It's getting better now.
Getting better.
Yes, and 20,000 jobs in 5 years, correct.
You know, and right now, Apple, and this is something we've talked about on this program for years, Apple's got close to $250 billion parked overseas.
Yep.
They're going to bring a bunch of that back, which is great, and one of the reasons why the president tweeted yesterday, given all the news about Apple, he said, I promised that my policies would allow companies like Apple to bring massive amounts of money back to the United States. Great to see Apple follow through as a result of tax cut. Huge win for American workers and the USA. Now, he just mentioned the tax cut. Was that a contributing factor? The CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, was asked about that yesterday and said this.
Without these policy changes, would you be able to announce today the creation of 20,000 new jobs?
No, there are clearly, let me be clear, there are large parts of this that are a result of the tax reform, and there's large parts of this that we would have done in any situation.
So it sounds like President Trump's tax bill has been a huge windfall for Apple.
Well, there are two parts of tax bill, right? There's a corporate piece and an individual piece. I do believe the corporate tax side will result in job creation and a faster growing economy.
And you know what? Steve Jobs talked about that with President Obama. You have to lower the corporate tax rate or I cannot bring any money back, nor will anybody else. Took this president to do it. And by the way, that stock market has grown 42.5% since President Trump took office. The corporate tax, even President Obama knew it, but he couldn't cut the deal for raising the upper bracket to get it done. Right. This president got it done.
He got it done. There's a much lower tax rate for the next year for those companies with a lot of money overseas. Now, Apple is just the start.
Right.
There's $2.8 trillion of American corporate profits parked over there. But because we now have a much lower tax rate on it over here, it's coming back. Sure. A lot of it comes back. Apple is just the start.
You know, it's interesting. Coming up in the next segment, Carly Shimkus is going to talk about the President's Fake News Awards and who got them. The number one was Paul Krugman at the New York Times, because the President said that Paul Krugman says the markets will never recover from President Trump. That was the day he was elected. And look how far we've come in a year.
Yeah, he made a real mistake right there. He really did. He went out on a limb and he really blew it. Look at that chart. Look at that chart. Those are Dow milestones, 1,000-point milestones since the election. Now we've gone from 18,000 to 26,000. So, that's financial history.
Stuart, what does the president need to do if he's listening this morning to change the narrative? Because if you watch some other networks, if you listen to some Democrats, they don't want you to know this. They don't want to talk about this. What does he need to do so that he can get them on board and start talking about how great this is for America?
Pump it up. Get out there and tell the story. And contrast yourself to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi says all these bonuses and these givebacks and passes, they are crumbs. That's all it is. Right. Well, you tell that to the people. There's now, I think, almost 2 million Americans, more than that, who are getting a bonus. Tell that to them, that they're just getting crumbs.
And over 100 companies are already done this at different levels around the country, from small banks to big.
So by the way, look, the president is going to Pennsylvania today, making a speech. Yeah. I am sure he'll be pumping up the news of what Apple's done and what others will do in the future.
The thing is, you don't need a marketing plan for economic good news, because everyone feels it or doesn't. If you tell me the economy's better and I don't feel it, if home prices aren't going up, if my wages aren't, if I don't have competition for jobs, it doesn't matter what you tell me. It's all how people experience it.
But it matters what is in the media. The media is uniformly against this kind of thing. They're against Trump. They will not put up anything that's positive for Mr. Trump.
I just don't know if it matters. If my home is worth more, my job is increasing my wages, I don't really care what the media tells me, even though I'm a part of it. Let's move on to something else that matters so much, and that is to shut down the government within 24 hours. We find out that we cannot get a continuing resolution for a month. We'll have an idea by tomorrow if this doesn't get done. Democrats say if I don't have a DACA reform in there, I will not sign off on it. Republicans say it is not going to get in there. They haven't even drafted it.
Look, I'm astonished that the Democrats would shut down the government of the United States of America on behalf of illegal immigrants. Because that's what's going on here. They'll shut it down because they can't get their way on illegals.
That's not necessarily true in the House. In the House, Republicans are refusing to sign.
There is another side to the coin, and you're quite right. But I'm concentrating on the DACA deal. If the Democrats can't get the illegals to stay, they will shut down the government.
The question is, do Republicans have enough to kick the can down the road for the continuing resolution? This is John Kelly. He is speaking last night on Fox News. Listen.
I spent a fair amount of time on the Hill today speaking to members of Congress, both sides of the aisle, and frankly both sides of the Hill, and it would seem that they have the votes to continue funding the military, take care of the child health care issue, and perhaps some other things. So as I understand it, they have the votes, and they're fairly confident.
And when you look at the whip total right now on Capitol Hill, it looks like they got between 205 and 215. So there is going to be a deal. John Kelly is absolutely right, according to the House Republicans. They've got enough votes in the House, but then it goes to the Senate. Now, the sweetener for the Senate is the House is including a 6-year extension of the Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP. Okay. So it's going to be hard for the Democrats to go out on a limb and say no to the kids for a 1-month deal, knowing that they can do a DACA deal in a month.
Look, I cover money. If there is a government shutdown, it will not have very much impact, if any, on the overall economy. Now, absolutely nothing on the stock market rally.
But who would get the blame?
Oh, that's a good point. If it plays that the Democrats are shutting down the government because of on behalf of illegals, I think the Democrats get the blame. But if it goes I mean, look, traditionally, you shut the government down and the Republicans get the blame. Just maybe it'll be the other way around this time. Maybe.
Right. Will they remember it, though, at the polls in November?
Yeah, we've got 11 months to figure it out.
Exactly, exactly.
It's Democrats feel as though they're on the glide path to taking back the House. Would they put this at risk at being blamed because people aren't going to forget what happened in January? Overall, this is an international embarrassment that we couldn't get this done.
I guess so. Happens. I guess so. But since when did we care what foreigners think?
Well, and you,
I mean, really?
And Stuart, you know, you are a perfect person to be talking about the immigration bill with, because you immigrated to the United States. You wound up with a green card. You've been here for many, many years.
And I'm a citizen.
Right. You're absolutely a citizen. It's interesting. Lindsey Graham yesterday was able to present his idea for that bill that he and Dick Durbin came up with yesterday with the Republicans. They could only get 6 votes, and that's the same one that the president told Reuters yesterday. It was a terrible bill. So
6 Republican votes.
Yeah, 6 Republican votes added to presumably all the Democrats. But the big question is whether or not it's going to be brought up.
As an immigrant, I don't see anything wrong with the following deal. Build the wall, end chain migration, end the lottery. In return, the dreamers stay.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
That's the Trump deal.
Is there anything wrong with that at all?
Right. They just got to go in. They have to understand, and everyone's got to stay at home. You cannot do this without 60 votes. That means you got to convert 9 or 10 because Senator John McCain's not here.
Yeah, so you've got to get some Democrats on your side to get it through the Senate, and that's a tough job.
And President Obama never compromised. This president's supposed to be a deal maker. Maybe he can get it done.
It sounded to me like General Kelly was compromising a little bit on the wall last night in the interview with Bret Baier, getting a little wobbly on the wall. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe
just saying I don't need a brick and mortar all the way through.
Right.
We can do different barriers.
Maybe that's a move towards compromise on the part of President Trump.
Have you ever tossed to Jillian?
Do you want me to? It's time. We got the headlines of the day, and here's Jillian.
Hi.
Don't forget Varney and Company from 9 to noon.
You, though.
Please don't forget that.
Thank you. That was an excellent job, was it not? Okay, let's get you caught up right now. We do have a Fox News alert. Here's what's happening. A hero has died after being shot in the line of duty. 12-year veteran York County Detective Michael Doty ambushed looking for a domestic violence suspect in South Carolina. People who knew him say he gave over 100% to his job. Doty's twin brother is also on the force. 3 sergeants shot in the ambush. Randy Clinton, Buddy Brown, and Kyle Cummings are expected to be okay. The suspect, Christian McCall, will likely be charged with murder. He faces attempted murder right now. Also breaking, Hawaiian officials waited more than 20 minutes before telling the feds about the phony ballistic missile alert. FEMA says those Hawaiian officials tried to gain approval to issue a correction, even though it wasn't required. That confusion happening as terrified locals and tourists told their loved ones goodbye. There are now questions whether the states should be in charge of notifying the public about these kinds of events. The parents accused of torturing and starving their 13 children set to be in court today. It comes just hours after we're learning the house listed as a private school was actually never inspected. That's required by law. The father, David Turpin, claiming to be the principal. The brand new clues shedding light into why authorities in Paris County, California, had no idea the parents were allegedly abusing their kids for years. Former Republican Senator and presidential candidate Bob Dole receiving the Congressional Gold Medal, Congress's highest civilian honor.
I'm extremely honored to accept this great honor, and I thank you for presenting it to me.
House Speaker Paul Ryan presenting the prestigious award given to the World War II veteran, and this moment was incredible. The 94-year-old is wheelchair-bound, but he stood proudly beside President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence as the national anthem played. Let's look at your headlines, guys. Send it back to you.
Wow, he is a great American.
He is.
And a great Kansan.
Hero.
All right, thanks, Jillian. All right, coming up on this Thursday, Maxine Waters may not want to attend the president's State of the Union address in about 10 days, but this Army vet does. You met him yesterday on Fox and Friends, and this morning he is back with some incredible good news.
Plus, it was the most anticipated award show of the season.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen. Fake news. Fake news.
Carly Shimkus is here with the Fake News Awards that broke the internet.
The envelope, please.
Well, you've heard this before. President Trump calling out the fake news media.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen. Fake news. Fake news.
From fake news to break news, because it broke the internet when the Fake News Awards were released.
All right, here are the winners now, and I'm tingling. Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7, Sirius XM 115. So we couldn't get it right away because the GOP website was down.
That's right. So there was so much speculation over the Fake News Awards. Would they happen? Would it be an actual award show? Well, after he tweeted out a link to the award show winners, it crashed the GOP.gov website. So many people were flooding into that website. They wanted to see who the winners were. But we have the list just in case you missed it last night. So do you remember the koi fish story?
Yeah.
President Trump received a lot of flack for...
In Japan.
Dumping the whole box.
Because CNN tweeted out a video that appeared to show the president overfeeding the koi fish. Well, it turns out he was just following the Japanese prime minister's lead. So that was named as one of the winners or losers of the Fake News Awards.
I had forgotten that.
Yeah, it happened a while ago. You can't forget the koi fish, though.
You're right.
Luckily, no koi fish were hurt in the making of that footage. So another one that, we all expected would be listed, Brian Ross of ABC, for this now false report about Russia and Michael Flynn. Take a listen.
He is prepared to testify that President Trump, as a candidate, Donald Trump, directed him to make contact with the Russians, which contradicts all that Donald Trump has said at this point.
So that, of course, turned out not to be true. He apologized for that error. The first person to be named, though, the New York Times, #1, Brian Krugman. Paul Krugman. I'm sorry, Paul Krugman,
keep
rather.
me out of this.
I guess I just made up some fake news of my own.
There you go.
For saying that the economy, the markets would never recover from President Trump's victory. Of course, we know that's not true. Stocks are surging. Thanks, in part to the president's tax cuts.
And it wasn't just 3. There were about a dozen.
Yeah, there were 11 stories. He also said that, the Russia collusion story is the greatest hoax of all time. So that also made the list. You can't forget that one.
So a website is up and running if folks at home want to check out the whole list, right?
That's right, yeah. So no fashion, no monologue, funny monologue. So those things were lacking. I kind of missed those things, but it also wasn't 3 hours long, so everybody got to go to bed.
Here's hoping there's nothing for next year's award show.
Yes.
All right?
Right.
We'll have you back for something else, hopefully, next year.
Hopefully. I'll be waiting.
All right, Carly.
Carly, thank you.
Thanks, Carly. Appreciate it.
All right, 10 minutes before the bottom of the hour, a border agent believed to be beaten to death at the hands of illegal immigrants. 2 months later, still no answers. So we sent our own Griff Jenkins to Texas, to the border. What did he find? He's live next.
And he grew up on the Jersey Shore. Now he's fighting for ISIS. The shocking confession from his mother coming up next.
All right, some quick headlines right now. The suspected terrorist accused of killing 8 innocent people, now hoping to save his own life. Safulo Saipov or whatever. If you have your terrorist trading cards, you know what I'm talking about. Told authorities ISIS inspired him to mow down a crowd on a New York City bike path. His lawyers hoping to strike a deal, taking the death penalty off the table in exchange for life in prison. And a mother now admits her son left New Jersey to join ISIS overseas. That, according to court documents, 25-year-old Zulfi Haksa traveled to Syria in 2015 to become a senior commander. Haksa is seen in a propaganda video here urging lone wolf attacks in the U.S.
Just another reason not to use their names.
Right. Right.
All right, there is still a mystery surrounding the death of that man right there, a Border Patrol agent.
The only witness was another agent who was almost killed himself and does not remember what happened.
Griff Jenkins went down to the southern border to do some digging to see if he can get some answers. He was in El Paso, is in El Paso now. Hey, Griff.
Hey, good morning, guys. That's right. I'm in El Paso. Across from me in Mexico, Juarez, one of the most dangerous border crossings in the nation, but 120 miles southeast of here, just outside the town of Van Horn. 2 months ago, to this day, Agent Rogelio Martinez suffered very bad injuries. He succumbed to those injuries. His partner, Stephen Garland, also injured but survived. We went back with the National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd to find out what happened.
Martinez would have been assigned to come out and check these culverts. And so he would have walked down here and would have come to this road right here. And as you can see, this is very fine dirt. It leaves very distinct footprints.
So he's looking for something like this.
Yes.
Does he find anything?
It's my understanding that he did find some footprints. At that point, he would have radioed in to his nearest backup and let them know. And we know now that the person that responded was Agent Stephen Garland.
So just so our viewers are clear, Agent Martinez is by himself.
The problem with that, and being as dark as it was that night, the smugglers have the advantage on him because they know exactly where he's at, but he doesn't know where they're at. The smugglers would have most likely come up to one of these tunnels, and they would have crossed underneath the interstate on one of the tunnels.
Brandon, how often does that happen?
In this area, I would say that we're seeing this once every 2 days.
Once every 2 days?
Yes.
And so when Agent Martinez rolls up on a group that he believes is in this tunnel, it's likely that he is aware at this point this is likely a group of possible drug smugglers as opposed to, say, just people crossing the border.
Yes.
Okay, so now you believe that Agent Martinez would have come across the highway and possibly down here
Yes.
Tell me what you think happened next.
So what he's going to do is he's going to come and he's going to look for any dirt area where he can pick up what we call the sign again, the footprints. Imagine that you've got your flashlight, you're concentrating, trying to find these footprints in the ground. You're very, very vulnerable to anything that might be around you where somebody could be hiding. Based upon the injuries that Agent Martinez sustained, we believe that as he was looking for these footprints, this group of drug smugglers attacked him and ambushed him, and he succumbed to his injuries, which were horrific injuries. I mean, it looks like he was literally beaten to death.
A local sheriff here in the county had said, well, he thought one of these trucks, as we hear going by, a truck might have sideswiped the agent.
These trucks are going 70 to 80 miles per hour on this interstate. Had a truck hit one of the agents, the agent's gear would have flown all over the place. The injuries wouldn't be consistent with what we currently have. The theory that he could have possibly fallen from the top of this culvert to this ground, that's only 8 feet, approximately 8 inches. That's not a large fall, especially for the injuries that he sustained. The other thing that we have to remember, and the theory that this could have been an accident, the FBI has been investigating this for 2 months. The FBI doesn't investigate accidents. The fact that they continue to retain jurisdiction in this matter clearly shows that they believe that this was an attack on federal law enforcement agents, and therefore it was a murder.
We spoke with the FBI guys, and they said they cannot comment on this because the investigation is ongoing. They're offering a $50,000 reward for information for resolution to this case. It's still classified, according to the FBI, as potential assault on a federal officer. Guys?
Griff, I'm so glad you went down there to report on this story so he's not forgotten. Thank you so much.
And we just need the answers. All right. Speaking of our southern border, earlier we were talking about whether or not there would be a government shutdown tomorrow. It looks like the Democrats are holding things up because they want a DACA deal. Of course, the president wants a wall, and in the last 10 minutes, he has sent out 2 tweets.
He says the wall is the wall. It has never changed or evolved from the first day I conceived of it. Parts will be of necessity, see-through, and it was never intended to be built in areas where there is natural protection, such as mountains, wastelands, or tough rivers or water.
Then he followed up with this tweet.
The wall will be paid for directly or indirectly or through longer-term reimbursement by Mexico, which has a ridiculous $71 billion trade surplus with the U.S. The $20 billion wall is peanuts compared to what Mexico makes from the U.S. NAFTA is a bad joke.
So the wall will be built, and Mexico, one way or another, is going to wind up paying for it.
And the president not only referring perhaps to what we were just discussing, but also the front page of the New York Times, which does not tell the complete story. It says Trump was not fully informed in the 2016 vow on the wall, according to Kelly. What Kelly was saying is, yeah, he did say the entire border, but upon further review, there are areas in which you need to see through it. There are areas in which it's a natural barrier, of course, but they just they love the term was not fully informed. So I think that message was not getting out. And I thought that he straightened it out yesterday with Bret Baier, but the New York Times...
And Kirstjen Nielsen straightened that out, too, when she was speaking 2 days ago.
Right. I mean, there's certain areas you just don't need it. There's certain areas where a wall doesn't work. You can't physically build it, and that's why he wants $28 billion to get it done. The question is, Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin wanted to give 1.8. That's not enough. $28 billion might not be possible, but is there something in between that will get us going until the next budget?
The New York Times may have printed that, but by the virtue of the fact that the President of the United States just sent it out on his social media, more people will see it on social media than read the New York Times.
All right, coming up, imagine being on this plane. Oh, my word. The moment those people thought that they were going down and it was caught on camera.
Plus, Maxine Waters may not want to attend President Trump's State of the Union address, but this Army vet does. You met him yesterday on Fox and Friends, and this morning he is back with Congressman Sean Duffy, and they got some big news.
Are you looking for the news right in your email? Wait no longer. Sign up for Fox News First, the day's most important stories delivered straight to your inbox. Everything from politics to national security to breaking news and opinion.
All you have to do is go to foxnews.com. It's fair and balanced reporting that you won't get anywhere else.
Right. It's great for us because it'll come to our email box before the show, or else we'd have nothing to say.
So you're just saying we're just going to read off our smart.
That's what I'm saying. That's how great. That's how great this is.
You know what? There's something not on it yet because it's happening right now.
Right. That was my cue to speak. I've seen this show before. With Maxine Waters skipping the State of the Union address, Army vet Ricky Taylor took to Twitter asking for her seat. He joined us yesterday on Fox and Friends after an outpouring of support.
I've gotten so much support from, you know, all the conservatives out there on Twitter, you know, just saying, I hope you get the seat. I hope it helps.
Help it did. Taylor will now be attending the State of the Union as the guest of Congressman Sean Duffy. Here to join us now, Congressman Sean Duffy and Ricky Taylor. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen. Congressman, I'll start with you. How did this all happen?
Well, so I watched the show yesterday morning, and my State of the Union ticket usually goes to my wife Rachel, who joins you guys sometimes on the couch.
Yes, we love her.
She saw the segment as well, and we chatted and thought, wouldn't it be great that we give Rachel's ticket, my ticket, to Ricky? Because it's outrageous that Maxine Waters and other Democrats aren't going to actually attend the State of the Union. Once I first won my race for Congress, but a couple days later, I realized, oh, my God, I get to go to the State of the Union. It is such an amazing honor to go and sit in. And I was going to go listen to Barack Obama. I didn't agree with his policies, but I thought, what a great American experience to be sitting in that chamber and listening to the president address the country. I saw that same excitement from Ricky, and so did Rachel. And so we thought, well, let's see if he wants to go and offer him a ticket.
And you did. So, Ricky, when you put out the word about Maxine Waters, I know you haven't heard back from her. You wouldn't actually be able to sit in her chair down where the congressmen and senators sit, but you could have had her guest ticket. And why do you think she has not responded to you yet?
Well, honestly, I mean, I don't think I really fit Maxine's narrative. I mean, I'm a black Latino veteran, and, you know, she wants to portray Donald Trump supporters as, you know, middle-aged white men that, you know, live in trailers and have Confederate flags sticking out. So I just don't think it fit her narrative, and I pretty much knew I wouldn't get a response from her.
Gotcha.
And you know, Ricky's going to be pretty cool sitting next to Congressman Duffy. I don't know if you get sense, but he is a lot of fun. Does that make the excitement even more?
Oh, I'm really excited. I mean, I just got to talk to him for a little bit out there, and, you know, he seems like a really good guy. I've heard he's got, you know,
a great guy.
Great family. So I'm just really excited to do it.
I'm going to take Ricky out to dinner before, if he's willing. We're going to go have a little time before the event. It's so cool. So many people are flowing in, so we'll share a little time together and go to the State of the Union, and it'll be cool.
Really sweet that you're doing this. I know the folks in your area love this. All of Americans do. I'll ask you, Ricky, do you ever plan to run for office?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I never really thought about it.
You can get your own seat every year.
Oh, exactly. I'm just a Trump supporter, and I just try to really just get the word out that he's got a lot of supporters out there, and it's just not getting a lot of coverage. So I was just doing my part as, you know, any other veteran or person does, you know.
Ricky, why is it, Ricky, you support the president?
I support the president because, you know, I think after Barack Obama, I think a lot of people in this country really wanted something different. They wanted they didn't want a politician. They didn't want somebody that was going to be a smooth talker and just, you know, say what you want to hear, but do something different. And, you know, I really adhere to, you know, his policies on immigration, you know, what his ideas were for the economy. So a lot of it just struck a chord with me. And, you know, I think he's really, you know, coming through with that.
You know, it's interesting to me. You've done 2 tours in Afghanistan, served our country for 10 years, and our congressmen and women are boycotting the opportunity to go to the White House when you're giving it all for our country and fighting overseas. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Hey,
our State of the Union.
Congressman, you know, if there's a government shutdown, won't be a State of the Union. Is there going to be one?
Yeah, listen, we're going to still have a State of the Union. And listen, there's not going to be a government shutdown. The Democrats are going to be forced to vote for a CHIP bill, which is insurance for kids, health insurance for kids. And I think Republicans, we don't have all the votes quite yet, you guys. We want to bring the vote up today on a short-term extension. But I think we're pretty close, and I think we're going to get Republicans in the House to stand together and pop that bill over to the Senate. And we're going to put some pressure on Senate Democrats to say, yes, to keep the government open, or, they want to shut it down and take health insurance away from kids, all on behalf of illegal immigrants. I don't think they'll do that.
You're going to need 9, but regardless, you have to take Ricky out to dinner, so don't think you're getting out of it.
Hey, Brian, if I look tired, you gave me your book on Friday, the Miracle in New Orleans. I stayed up last night and finished it. Man, your book is awesome. It's a page-turner, bringing history to life. So, listen, awesome read. Thanks for giving me the book. And
it is great.
We're up till midnight last night finishing it.
All right. Thanks, Congressman. I appreciate it. And being that you have 22 kids, that's saying a lot.
I'm just going to pass it to each of them.
Sure.
Maybe I'll give it to Ricky. I'll give Ricky your book when I see him.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Thanks, Congressman.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys.
That's the real reason Rachel has to stay home.
Right. All right. It's now 19 minutes before the top of the hour, and she's got some news.
They look fun to hang out with.
Yeah,
Right? Good morning to you guys. Good morning to you at home. Let's get you caught up on your news. Starting with this, in just hours from now, House investigators are expected to question Jim Rybicki on the probe into Hillary Clinton's private email server. The chief of staff and senior counselor to FBI Director Christopher Wray is expected to testify with both the House Oversight and Judiciary Committee. This comes after private text messages between top FBI investigators revealed possible anti-Trump bias in the Clinton email probe. The deadly flu virus potentially taking another young life. 12-year-old Michael Messenger of Michigan passing away days after showing flu-like symptoms and nearly a month after receiving the vaccine. His heartbroken mother still in disbelief.
I still feel like I did everything wrong, though. Why? The guilt, because I'm a mom. I'm supposed to protect my kids, and I couldn't protect him.
Michael's family is waiting on an autopsy report to determine his exact cause of death. Terrifying moments on board a flight when passengers are told to duck for cover and brace for landing. Mesa Airlines flight attendants making the announcement moments before touching down in Dallas. A passenger says some people were doing the sign of the cross as smoke came from the cockpit. It turned out to be from a broken fan. No one was hurt. That's a look at your headlines, though. Guys, when you experience something like that, I can't imagine. That must be so frightening.
No kidding. It's hard to pull over when you're up there.
I just can't imagine grabbing your ankle is going to save you, though. I mean,
yeah, I'd be holding onto the seat, but I guess the ankles, I'm sure, through.
It's a weird time to stretch out your hamstrings.
All right.
Thank you,
Lots
Julie.
of prayers.
Yes.
All right. Meanwhile, coming up on this Thursday, Mercedes Schlapp on that looming government shutdown. What she predicts will happen next.
Plus, Congress is expected to vote on a controversial NSA spy program today, and the judge isn't happy about it.
No kidding.
Your rights are at risk. He's breaking it down for us. Hey, Judge.